YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back after a strange week 8. After Sunday's action here, I'm here to recap and give you my takeaways. This video is usually very long. It's usually an hour long. In-depth takeaways. Unfortunately, it's going to have to be fast this week. A lot to get to. Von Miller just got traded. We want to break that down. More trade deadline updates. I'm sure moves will be made. We're covering it on Twitter with all my thoughts first. So if you're not following our Twitter, make sure you follow it. Link down below. It's on your screen. Like, subscribe, turn notifications on. We got full NFL coverage here. Again, we'll grade all these big trades for the trade deadline. I think more moves will happen. Teams are more open to dealing now. Von Miller trade was wild. Again, we want to get to that. There's our Twitter. Again, we were talking all about this Von Miller trade. Broke down a lot of things. Was actually talking about how the Broncos are going to pay a portion of that salary before it was reported. So it's a good reason to follow our Twitter here, link down below. So again, this is going to have to be almost rapid fire this week. So I apologize if people really like the lengthier ones. Every time I do say that, I do end up talking. Here I go. I end up talking more. Panthers Falcons, a weird week, and people would consider this a weird game, but this kind of went to how I thought it would go. I picked the Panthers just because of matchup reasons. The Falcons were pretty hot. The offense was getting better, but they haven't really been playing good defenses. They played the Giants when the Giants weren't at the top of their game defensively. This was the best defense they were going to play up to this point, and I still like the Panthers defense. They were also getting Shaq Thompson back, which is a huge piece, underrated player to the Panthers defense, and they were getting Stephon Gilmore, but main thing was Shaq Thompson for me, who did come away with an interception, but that's a leader there on the inside. He actually will assist and be part of the blitz game too, which is fantastic, especially going against Matt Ryan. So, and the Falcons defense, playing better, but I'm like, the Panthers they've been playing pretty good defenses, and they have not been able to do well offensively, but I think they'll do enough in this game. So that ended up being the case. Honestly, the Panthers outplayed them by even more than I thought, more than the score shows as well. Credit to the Falcons' red zone defense. They were looking stout down there. But the Panthers realistically could have won this game by a lot if they execute a little better in the red zone. Missed opportunity at a DJ Moore touchdown, which might have been a touchdown. Moore kind of made that a little more challenging than it needed to be. That was actually a perfect ball by Darnold. Moore second foot was striding more than it should have. But I think, it didn't get called a touchdown, so we'll leave it at that. I think he could have done a better job. So they missed out on some opportunities. Hubbard was hit or miss. Hubbard was, there was some bad runs. He started with the game with a fumble, but then that touchdown run was explosive. I like that. Abdullah assisted them as well. Darnold, didn't throw overly well. Again, that Darnold, or that Moore should have been touchdown. Was a beautiful throw, but he ran extremely well. So we kind of wonder why haven't they running him as much as they started the year with. Here they go. They run him more. Tough runner, too. You see him try to deliver blows. He ended up getting hurt. It was a tough hit there. But the Panthers do enough, and it's credit to their defense. I thought it was a beautiful matchup against Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan struggled a little bit, bleeding from his hand. He saw that, throws a pick. The next play, so that, obviously that maybe was in his head. And not having Calvin Ridley out there was definitely a factor. It just, focus on Pitts. Cordero Patterson's going to play well, but we're going to make him only beat us. Is that going to happen? So that was kind of what happened there. Falcons, I just don't like it's all about matchup for them. They can, if they play some weaker defenses, they'll look really good. So this is not a good matchup. At home to the Panthers, they blow it. The Panthers back on track here. Dolphins, Bills. Bills come out a little sloppy. I think I see them notifications. No trades yet. Just the Von Miller one. Bills a little sloppy off the bye. A lot rusty, actually. We'll chalk it up to that. Winnable game for the Dolphins, even though the final score doesn't look like it. The Bills execute. Josh Allen executed when he needed to. Didn't do a whole lot, but hit him on the ground. Tough kid, obviously, making plays you need to. Diggs showing up. Gabriel Davis gets a touchdown. Bills were running the ball a lot to start, though, so I think they're a little rusty off the bye, maybe trying some things out. I'm not really too worried, but you see that, they're not, and we already knew this, they're not a juggernaut. Teams in the AFC could beat them, We saw that already, but it's kind of shows us a little more, but they still might be, predicting-wise, when it's all said and done, the best team in the AFC. But a little sloppy in this game. They execute the Dolphins. I've been saying the Dolphins have more problems than Tua, clearly shown in this game. The last couple weeks I've been going over the list of problems, And one that I've been going over before the season started, it just pisses me off even more now. I'm going to rant a little bit for all these teams here. The running back situation. How do you go into the season with that running back situation? It's stupidity. So the running game could have been useful in this game if it was good. Coaching is very bad. That's another thing. Coaching's bad. That mistake where, I don't know what happened. A snap on Gesicki end around or whoever it was, and it's a fumble. I don't know. It's just obviously it's a mistake by the players in the moment, but for them not be prepared in that moment, I kind of blame the coaching staff there. So the Dolphins actually could have had this one. They start strong like always, somewhat strong. They missed a field goal to start the game, unlike Jason Sanders there. Bills kind of do enough to win the game. A little sloppy off the bye week, but they get it done there. We'll see what the deadline's tomorrow. We'll see if they trade for Watson. They need more help than just that. It might be the coaching staff too. 49ers-Bears, weird game because this was just like a field goal. I was calling it a field goal festival. It was just kind of back and forth field goals. The Bears kind of had the edge because they had a touchdown, which was a nice throw, cross body, kind of where it needed to be. A great catch as well, but by Justin Fields, who was a lot better in this game. You see, he looked a lot more comfortable. Like, he looked like more confident, Last few games, it was kind of, I don't know. It's just me, maybe. Maybe it's just kind of the take for everybody when guys look good and when they don't, but that's what it looked like to me. Nagy wasn't there, so that's what everyone was saying. I know he has a part of the game plan. So who knows if that's what it is or not, but I don't think the play calling was any different, really. The crazy play that Fields scored on 4th down, I actually hate that play call because it was an end around. I like the pre-snap motion, but you got to misdirect. You got to fake the end around, and then the quarterback's got to turn the other way, and I know he's fast enough, and he started stumbling. It's just I think to me it's a bad play call. You're doing too much on 4th and less than a yard, and Justin Fields had to go and do it. I know he almost stumbled. I mean, he kind of was, but he had to do it himself there, which is a ridiculous play. You see what he can do on the ground. Top of his potential in terms of the passing game. So a better game from him. But yeah, it's kind of a field goal festival here, back and forth. The 49ers can't get anything going offensively. No Khalil Mack. Eddie Jackson's hurt early. I know he's been struggling anyways, but the 49ers are only getting field goals, and all of a sudden something changed. And I'm going to say Shanahan with his play calling, he's known as one of the best play callers, one of the best offensive minds in all of football, and he's been awful the first half of the year. We're not halfway through yet, but close enough. You get my point. He's been pretty bad, but it's not all on him. Garoppolo struggled. I mean, Trent Williams has been out previously. Defense beat up. Secondary plays the defense is nowhere near as good as we're used to. Things like that. It's more than Shanahan, but the play calling changed. They kind of went just back to playing simple football and kind of doing what's working. Like last week against the Colts, Mitchell was working early. They kind of went away from it. Just too complicated plays for Garoppolo, maybe. They kind of went simple. Just get the ball to Deebo Samuel. Let's run Garoppolo. We're a very good running team. No matter who's at running back, even though it looks like Elijah Mitchell's talented, let's run Garoppolo. He's a tough runner at times. So I thought the play calling's a lot better. It just turned into a kind of a field goal game, kind of low scoring to just a shootout in a way. So the 49ers end up with 33 points on a pretty solid defense. I know they're missing some top guys there, at least top guy in Khalil Mack. So that was impressive the second half. That looked more like the 49ers. The Deebo Samuel play was ridiculous. The Bears cannot give that up. Bears, it's unfortunate. There's a few teams like this in the NFL where it just seems like it's impossible to have the offense and the defense on the same page. It's usually the offense isn't on the same page, but at the same time, it's just not possible. It's mind-blowing how this happens to so many teams. Like how is that happening? So the offense is finally playing well, and the second half, the defense just blows it away. And the offense really didn't do enough. You got to get touchdowns instead of field goals, but it's a tough one for the Bears. Much needed win from both teams. The 49ers pull it off. Next game, Steelers-Browns. Yeah, kind of a wild game here. Neither team doing it. The Browns start the game with a great drive. Look like they're going to get 7 easy. They don't end up getting that 7. So that was, I think right there, that was big time for the Steelers defense. That was kind of costly. But then it's just dead. It's just dead offensively for both teams the rest of the game here, for the most part, for a chunk of the game here on out. At this point, I don't really know what it is from the Browns. Steelers offense, it's kind of the similar things. They're just a little slow at getting things going, developing things. Offensive line isn't helping. It's just kind of the same things. But for the Browns, it's Yeah, I guess they're allowing more pressure than normal. Conklin got carted off the field, but they're usually good enough in terms of offensive line blocking, pass protection. Baker maybe holding the ball a little too long, just couldn't get much going. Chubb, there was a fourth down where Chubb, it was that's a bad run by Nick Chubb. I don't expect that from any NFL running back, let alone Nick Chubb. It's just fourth down, you just get upfield and get if there's no hole, you create the hole. But once he bounced outside, once there was a hole, he just didn't see it. I think there was multiple lanes. It's no longer holes anymore, it's lanes. And he was just hesitating getting outside, so I didn't like that. Dearness Johnson looked like he was the better back in this game, not in general, but in this game. He had a nice touchdown. He probably should have got the ball more. Steelers clutch up though. Their kicker gets hurt. So they're in position where they have to go for it basically, and they have to go for two. They still pull it off. Browns realistically could have won the game. I said I couldn't figure out what the problem was with the Browns offense for that chunk, kind of after that first drive through up to the fourth quarter. But then after that is the receiver, Jarvis Landry mainly. He had a very bad game. That fumble, he should not fumble that. He had a drop at the end of the game. He had another drop in between there as well. Bad. Odell. I mean, you can't really expect Odell to make that one-handed catch, but he was too worried about getting hit on that play. It's not like Odell Beckham Jr. I thought Baker was getting hyped, and Baker was actually throwing some good balls under pressure in those moments, and his receivers let him down. He just really got nobody. They got depth guys that are okay. I hated the Schwartz pick and still do, where they picked him. It looks like they need a receiver. You got Odell Beckham Jr., you got Jarvis Landry, and it really feels like I might maybe an uncommon take. It feels like they may need a number one receiver. Actually, it's pretty wild. So the receivers really let them down. Steelers clutching up, making plays there. It was crazy because the Browns kept having chances. Newsome makes a big-time stop on fourth down. It was a heck of a tackle. He's been a heck of a rookie. The Steelers, end up clutching up and pulling. Steelers on a win streak right now. And looking at the next couple games, they can continue that win streak. I think I said that before they started to streak. The Steelers at any given time, even though they're struggling, they don't look the same. I can kind of see them getting going here, getting a little stretch going here. So here they go. Here comes the Pittsburgh Steelers. So that's a must-win for both these teams. The Pittsburgh Steelers got it done. Eagles, Lions, not even close. Something I don't want to base things off stats. I never do, but I am curious actually. I wanted to look up here real quick the rushing numbers for Philadelphia because it was fantastic. I know that. I just want to see the actual numbers. Hurts was 7 for 71 rushing. Boston Scott was 12 for 60. Jordan Howard was 12 for 57. Kenneth Gainwell didn't get used too much. Their Eagles won. Jalen Hurts only threw 14 times, only threw 103 yards. They won the game purely pounding the football. Gardner Minshew got some reps in there. They purely pound the football. They haven't been running in the past. Miles Sanders, to me, he's got, I always said this, even coming out of Penn State, he's got these wow moments here and there, but I was never, and not saying he's bad, nowhere near bad or anything like that. People always take things the wrong way. I was never a huge Miles Sanders guy. A little inconsistent, a little hesitation, and they played the Lions, so Miles Sanders probably would have went off in this game as well, but you take Miles Sanders away and you give a committee of backs the ball and you spread it out a little bit, and guys that I think are been underrated hard runners, Jordan Howard, a couple years ago when the Eagles had him, I said then that year I thought it was clear that Howard was better than Miles Sanders. Is he better now? Probably not. There's more to Miles Sanders' game, but they just dominated, spreading the ball out, these different running backs, and they're tough runs, physical, and just different style running. With Scott and Howard and Hurts, it's just it looks like an elite running team. I don't care if they play the Lions, Lions slow down Lamar Jackson even, so Hurts is, he's not Lamar Jackson, but you get that running style from the quarterback position where you don't know really where he's going. He can get outside, inside. He can beat you on an angle, but then you factor in a tough running game here, and it looked real good. So they dominated with that. Darius Slay ended up having a touchdown. Lions just really struggle in this game. It was just a bad game from the get-go. It's a winnable game, I thought, from them. They've played some teams close, and people were probably, power rankings had them last, as they should be, and there was a lot of people actually complaining that they shouldn't be last, which was mind-blowing to me, and especially based on how my power rankings work, and in a game like this happens, maybe it was a little fluky that they were close in games, because this is just bad. The non-existing pass rush is bad. That's going to prevent them from closing out games, so it's pretty obvious at this point. Dan Campbell was overhyped, and I said that on Twitter, and people were complaining that look at his roster. I'm not talking about his roster. I'm not talking about wins and losses. They should, looking at their roster, they should be this bad. It's not what I'm talking about. Watch the game. His decisions within the game, not just this game, other games, have not been good. And I know he faked a couple punts and that worked out. That was cool. I don't really care. I'm not too hyped on Dan Campbell right now. And people are like, he's got a bad roster. He's good. Well, it doesn't mean he's good. If things are going bad, you have a bad roster. They're going to win more with a better roster. It doesn't mean he's good. It's a stupidity. Definitely, I'm not going to sit here and say he's bad. He's never going to be good. Not what I'm saying. It's not good right now. We can't lie to ourselves and say he's good. It's not. It hasn't been good. Field goal decision, short yards decision. Kicking a field goal when you should go for it. You should go for it when you kick a field goal. Timeout management. Just getting your ass beat to the Eagles overall is just not great. So I'm not thrilled there. It's gonna be a lengthy process for the Lions, unfortunately. Titans, Colts. Big win for the Titans, come back, but it's a negative day. I guess the next day, today, because Derrick Henry's probably going to miss the entire season. He's going to have surgery tomorrow on his foot. That's been reported. That's usually 8 to 10 weeks in back. But there's been 15 players that came back within the 10 weeks of that in NFL history from that same foot surgery, and 9 out of 15 had needed another surgery. Derrick Henry's a totally different man here, obviously, but do you risk that? So he can be back for the playoffs. 10 weeks, I wouldn't bring him back before then, but that's a tough blow for the Titans. It's a major blow. They're sitting at the top of the AFC right now. Are they actually the best team when it's all said and done? That's debatable. But right now, they are sitting at the top of the AFC, and their prized possession, Derrick Henry, goes down. That is brutal, absolutely brutal. The stacked boxes open things up for Tannehill. And Tannehill against the Bills and the Chiefs, magnificent. Before that, and in this game, not so much. He's struggling a little bit under pressure when teams don't stack the box and play run. So I do worry a little bit. He's a good quarterback, don't get me wrong, but I do worry a little bit about this without Derrick Henry. They're gonna bring in Adrian Peterson for workout. They may trade for somebody. They're gonna need a big committee of backs to try to. You can't equal Derrick Henry, but try. They need Julio Jones back. The injury concern's real. But this is a clutch win. Come from behind. They almost choked it away at the end. I think both teams choked this game. Whoever lost this game was choking it because the Titans, had the game wrapped up after Wentz wrapped it up. Nicely. He wrapped it up, put a bow on it, and just, and the Titans almost choked this game away after that. The pass interference call, there was one I didn't agree with a little earlier, but that one was pretty blatant. Michael Pittman letting him do what he did there. Michael Pittman might be a lord. Michael Pittman is ridiculous. That contested catch ability, he does it all too. He really does it all. They got something there. Carson Wentz ain't even doing him any favors either. Michael Pittman's legit. He's real good. Carson Wentz is not legit. Carson Wentz is kind of just still Carson Wentz here, what he did in this game. And during the week, it was, look at this Carson Wentz touchdown interception ratio. Those people did not watch the games. Yes, it looks good, but it hasn't been good. He's been throwing the ball to the wrong team all year. He's just been dropping interceptions. Some don't count as interceptions. The positive plays are schemed up plays underneath, or let me just chuck the ball up in the air. Michael Pittman, the Lord Pittman, just comes down with it. Carson Wentz he's been better than last year, but he has not been good. I don't know, people are lying to themselves here. And then I said this too going into this week, that he's been fortunate not getting more turnovers. The Titans create turnovers. The Titans took care of business there, got 2 key turnovers. One went for a touchdown, one led to the game-winning field goal. So it's just gonna happen, And then I know they could run the ball to Taylor Moore. I know people blaming Reich. And during the week, Reich's a god because he made Carson Wentz better, because look at his touchdown interception ratio. And then when they lose, it's not let's blame Wentz, let's blame Reich for not running the ball more. Again, they could use Taylor a little more, but you're gonna have to pass the ball to win the game. So this one's really on Wentz. I know the defense played pretty well. They got 2 interceptions on Tannehill, but then they kind of were just giving things up too easy. And they stopped Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry got hurt, obviously, came back, and they stopped him. But they were kind of, no Julio Jones out there. They were kind of just giving up too much. But, the interception to Elijah Molden, hell of a play by Bud Dupree and Elijah Molden. Got to give the Titans. They just scored right there. That was what won the game, really. Got to give credit there. But I don't know what Wentz just continues to try to do that, where he's just wrapped up, switched to his left hand and just threw it right to Molden. It just cannot happen. I shouldn't see that once. So Tough one for the Colts. It's going to be tough for them. They're going to have to fight for a wild card spot at this point. They got the Jets on Thursday night. They should win that game unless, Wentz turns the ball over too much. I wouldn't expect him in that game, but it's a tough one for them. Tough blow this morning hearing about Derrick Henry for the Titans. Jets. The Jets got 2 wins this year. The Titans are currently the 1 seed right now. They beat them a few weeks ago. The Bengals were the 1 seed going into this week. They just beat them. That's their 2 wins. So the Jets can play pretty well against pretty good teams, apparently. Let's not sugarcoat this. This ain't good for the Bengals. It's not good. Are they still a good team? Probably, yes. We still impressed with the Bengals overall? Yes, we are. But to lose to the Jets, because, again, the Titans lost to the Jets. Teams slip up, lose these games. They go 34 points to Mike White. Corey Davis is out. The struggling Jets team, even after the Titans game, they've looked so bad. Oh, they look so bad. 54 points came up to the Patriots, who were actually struggling to finish drives and score. Got their ass beat to the Falcons, even though the score might not show it. So it's not good for the Bengals. And the whole world overhyped. I don't want to say overhyped because the Bengals deserve credit and they're definitely getting better. I say hyped. The whole world hyped the Bengals, so I misspoke. Not overhyped. The whole world hyped up the Bengals this past week. Not pointing fingers. I did it as well, so I guess we'll point some. Why is that so common? Why is that so common that when you hype a team up, that you just blow it? It happens like too often. Everyone really got hyped on the Bengals, and they just give up 34 points. The Jets lose the game. So I don't know. Maybe the fans are causing it here. Maybe too much pressure. Maybe I don't know. I have no idea because it happens so much in the NFL past every year. Pretty wild. Still a winnable game for the Bengals. There was some interesting calls at the end. The head-to-head play, I don't know what you're supposed to do there. The runner got real low. I don't know what you're supposed to do, but the Bengals, didn't play their game anyway, so it's not like they deserved to win because of that call. They could have won if maybe the right call would have happened, but Mike White clutched up. It's going to bring up some interesting debate about Zach Wilson because, So, the Jets win. They scored 34 points, but you got to be happy about that. If you're actually a Jets fan, and that happens across the whole NFL. I see this all the time. You got to be happy. But there's some fans, and this is not Jets or fan bases, other fan bases, when they get too already attached to a certain quarterback and they're unhappy about the situation because it made that guy look bad. I don't think that person, I don't think anybody's saying for the Jets, but I've seen it from, I can't even count how many fan bases. I don't think those people are actually fans of the team. They say they are, but I don't think so. You got to be happy with this win. You 34 points. It looks good. Mike White looked good. 2 interceptions weren't good, but they were deflected. No Corey Davis again, too. Michael Carter, all these. Keelan Cole had a ridiculous touchdown catch that got called back. Looking at it, looked like the ball was loose, so some people arguing about that call. I think it was the right call. It was ridiculous, though. They even get Mike White on the receiving end of things. Lawson made that huge play. That play was it right there. Burrow throws it too low. Shaq Lawson, ridiculous play. That was the play right there. Bengals were able to, I kind of go back to early. Deflected pass. Jesse Bates takes it down right near the goal line. The Bengals can't get in. Jamar Chase, actually, he's been phenomenal. One of the best, not just the best rookie, one of the best receivers. He drops an easy touchdown, 3rd down. Then Joe Burrow, you can't take that sack on 4th down. Just throw the ball up. The way he was moving, not ideal. He put himself in position to take that sack. So I kind of go back to that. If they would have got points there, could have been overtime, could have been a win. So I'm looking back on that. So it wasn't the best. Even though he scored 31 points, it wasn't even the best from their offense. But their defense it's been very, very good. So they slipped up on this one. It hurts a little more because they gave up 34. It's like if you slip up, lose to the Bengals, or you lose to the Jets. It's one thing, but then it's another thing. Giving up 34 points here. Yeah, that's tough. That's a wild one right there. Rams-Texans. Rams dominate this game. The Texans are scoring kind of late. They look a little better late. Davis Mills getting going, but he struggled early on. Threw a real bad interception to Ernest Jones, just right to him. The Rams just too much for the Texans. They look lost. The effort, it looked like they gave up pretty early in the game. But it's easy to give up when the Rams just throw that much at you. It's ridiculous. You got to worry so much about your Cooper Kupp. They get Woods going. It's just very hard to stop, and it's why they're a true contender. So Stafford looked great. Cooper Kupp, they got Woods going. Van Jefferson did a little bit there. Darrell Henderson's been fantastic for them. I just pray that he stays healthy because he's actually a really good back. Defense did enough. I know the Texans scored 22 in the end, but it really wasn't like that. A lot of guys Texans kind of gave up here. Tyrod Taylor probably could have played in this game, maybe. What would they do? Because they're a much better team with Tyrod Taylor. We saw that early year. Can't base too much off early year. What do they do, though? Because they may want the first overall pick, So it's definitely interesting. The Rams are rolling right now. Finally going to play a little more of a tougher opponent. Since the Cardinals game, they're going to play the Titans, but then Derrick Henry's out as well. But the Rams are rolling. They got Von Miller now. We're going to break down that as well in the next video. Another probably weird outcome is kind of like the Panthers game. I picked the Patriots in this game, and this went really kind of how I thought it would. I predicted 26-24 Patriots, so it's 1 point off. I went the weird 26. There's been a lot of weird final scores here, so it looked pretty damn good. And I didn't want to I couldn't believe the line. The Patriots can run the crap out of the ball. The Chargers have the worst run defense in football, and I think the Chargers offense can be game planned for with the right defense, and you have a genius game planning defense here under Bill Belichick, a very good man coverage defense, a defense that gives different looks and gets good pass rush. To me, all signs, I said this in the videos too going this week, more of the signs point towards the Patriots, so that's why I picked the Patriots. But why I said maybe it didn't fully go how I thought it would, and what I mean by that is the part I didn't see coming is the Patriots dominating the Chargers. Yes, 27-24 final. If you watched every snap of this game, the Patriots basically dominated the Chargers in this game. They outplayed them by way, and the Chargers could have won this game. And I'm not talking about the Chargers getting a late touchdown. Great catch by Josh Palmer. They need to play him more, by the way. I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about the whole rest of the game. The Patriots, the Chargers get 14 points pretty early off kind of just blown plays, big plays, good plays. But after that, they're shutting them down. They're confusing Herbert. Receivers aren't getting too much separation. There's some drops in there. Once again, I've been saying since week one that the receivers, there's good receivers in there, but they need more help. Palmer should play more. They need more speed, quickness out there. I've been saying that. But Patriots give them some different look, getting pass rush, getting very tight in coverage, getting their hands on the ball, and they're running down their throats. And they're getting down in the red. They're camping in the red zone all day. And they have, from the 1 yard line, maybe closer, they cannot get in. Credit to Chargers red zone defense for a portion of this game. Definitely. That was the reason why the game looked closer than it could have been. I don't like the goal line fade on 4th and inches from the half-yard line. Don't like that. Give it to Damian Harris. Damian Harris got him down there. And Mac Jones had some good throws here and there downfield. Sure. Mac Jones has been fantastic. But Damian Harris gets you down there. The running game, I'll say, because Stevenson stepped in as well. Bolden stepped in. Running game gets you down there, get in the red zone. You kind of abandon it at times completely. So that was confusing. They're kind of insisting on the pass game. They could have had a lot more points this game. They had a fumble at one point when they were in the red zone once again. There was like 4 consecutive drives where it's like, okay, this game could be a killing right now. So the Patriots outplay the Chargers by a wide margin. They continue to give Herbert problems defensively. And the Patriots go and execute down the stretch of this game, which was good on their end. Folk hitting the kicks. He's been clutch. It's a good one for the Patriots. I did like the matchup for them. It's a good matchup against a good team here. Patriots, they're coming. They're coming. The Chargers are going to look elite against some teams. You can game plan for them. Herbert's great. You can game plan for them, though. The Ravens, a great game planning defense that plays a lot of man coverage, gives unique looks. The Patriots, a great game planning defense. By game planning, coaching as well. Great, another one, man coverage, unique looks. So that's not the team they want to play, but it's possible. It's possible to stop them. We see that here. That's a good game for the Patriots. The bad thing is, you got to finish, though. You got to finish. This game could have been a beatdown. It actually could have been, which I wasn't expecting. I was actually oddly confident with the Patriots for the matchup reasons, though, but I was not expecting them to outplay them by that margin there. Impressive, though. Jags Seahawks. First of all, Seahawks, just dominating this game. 31-7, that's great. Geno Smith looked real bad last week. This game he wasn't, he's better, but some of these throws, but just under pressure and not knowing when to get rid of the ball is still bad. And now, how he handles pressure, still bad. But they still find a way to get 31 points and dominate this win here. So that's good on top of that. But go to the defense here. kind of gives you vibes of, and you can't fully say it, but remember last year they kind of went from, I mean, not worst to first, but you get the idea. They were worse defensive football to start last year, and they were pretty damn good down the stretch of the season last year. And I know, I guess the competition wasn't the best, but they were a lot better. And that kind of gives you vibes right here in a game like this. Tight in coverage, confusing the other team. They're more of the game plan problem, and just shutting them down. Jags got a late touchdown. They might as well be 31-0 here. So credit the Seahawks defense for that. And they're injured as well, obviously. I know a lot of teams are, but where they're injured, it's tough in this one. So credit them. Jaguars. They got the Dolphins win, but it wasn't good. It wasn't a good one here. Coaching's pretty. I mean, there's just no game plan. There's no adjustment to the game plan. No adjustment to anything. It's just kind of bland. It's kind of basic. Trevor Lawrence wasn't good, though. The games like this, and it was games in the early portion of the year, he was starting to heat up a little bit last few games, but games like this in the early portion of the year, it kind of makes you, it doesn't even make you think, you kind of see it, that you have to scheme plays open for Trevor Lawrence. Clemson, it was just kind of just scheme. He makes some ridiculous throws, and he's very underrated in terms of athleticism, and he definitely could still be great. Definitely a possibility here for sure. But a lot of schemed up where he only has to really look at one guy, and he's kind of open. And then when he has to kind of go away from that, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. Scan the field and go to the next option. He kind of, interception was bad. He was mad at a receiver for being there. I can't stand when people try to blame a receiver for that. Receivers haven't been good. They haven't been getting great separation, but you don't just blindly throw right to the Seattle defender with no receiver in the area. No, there's somebody's going to come up with a stupid excuse. It's not going to fly though. It's not going to fly. So he looks like he needs things schemed open for him right now. The play calls are atrocious. There's no game plan whatsoever. Situational play calling is it's all bad. It's all very bad. It's too bland. How you only score 7 points, it might as well be 0 as well against the Seattle defense is just mind-blowing. Defense struggled early on. It's more on the offense. Defense put in bad situations. They were getting pressure on Geno then, getting him down. And, if the offense played a solid game, I know the final was 31-7. The offense were able to push the ball and score, play a solid game, not make mistakes. This game would have been a lot closer because defense. It's 31 points. It looks like the defense. Defense again didn't start well. DK had an amazing catch, by the way. That touchdown was ridiculous. So I'm extremely disappointed with the Jaguars. Game like that, it's impossible to pick them the rest of the year, depending on I guess the circumstances. But I don't know. Washington, Denver, boring game, tight game. Broncos blocked 2 clutch field goals in this game. That was huge. Broncos defense looked a lot different than that Thursday night game against the Browns. A lot of backups in for the Browns. And it didn't really matter who was on or off the field for the Browns. The Broncos were just missing tackles straight up. They had guys stop in situations. They were missing tackles. They look like a whole different defense. That's why it's tough to predict. It's very tough to predict like a team like the Broncos. How are you going to predict a team that just miss a bunch of tackles against backup players and then just all of a sudden fly around the field and make big plays? Justin Simmons had a great game. He's had too much responsibility this year because the rest of the defense. So he was able to stand out in a game like this. Shelby Harris has been good. It's definitely been a bright spot, of course. Consistent, good player. So Broncos defense did their job in this game. Washington, 2 blocked field goals from Blewett. Maybe they shouldn't have got rid of Hopkins. I don't know the situation if it's on the kicker that much. But, it's not enough for Washington. I thought Gibson, Heineke, I want to see the carries actually. Something I probably already should have focused on. I feel like not enough on the top of my head, but I could be wrong here. Jared Patterson, 11 carries, 46. Forgot about that. He had a couple nice runs. 8 carries for Gibson. It needs to be more. I know he's dealing with the injury. McKissick, 3. He had 8 receptions for 83 yards. Get the ball to McKissick more there. Because those are the guys. The Broncos were really struggling with missing tackles last week. Those are the kind of guys that make the guys miss. So, I don't know. Just too much having Heineke scramble around too far in the back end. Hold the ball too long is a disaster. Just too much of that. So, not thrilled with either play callers. The Broncos throwing the ball with 27 seconds left when they're trying to ice the game. And then you run into Gordon. Gordon fumbles. Gordon heading to the sideline with the ball in one hand, kind of free. You should be covering up like this. Just stupidity. So Washington had another shot and couldn't really do it. But credit to the Broncos defense. Washington defense definitely did enough too. There was one early, or very early. Teddy Bridgewater threw a bad interception to Bobby McCain. Bobby McCain had the ball, and it almost was close to a fumble because how long he had it, but I guess he never had possession, obviously. You got to catch the interception, but other than that, defense did enough. You expect them to do that against the Broncos. You expect the Broncos defense to do that in Washington. Broncos pull it off and win the game. They trade Von Miller. We'll break that down. They should be trading more players. I think they wouldn't be hesitant at all if they lost this game, maybe. Bryce Callahan went down. Does that trade for Kyle Fuller situation? We'll see. Buccaneers Saints, wild game. Absolutely wild game. Jameis Winston gets hurt pretty early. Saints are already playing some pretty good ball at that point. Pretty good, damn good defense. It was a great defensive game from them in this game. And Bucs just got a problem with the Saints. We saw that in the regular season last year, and the Saints got Brady's number. They got a good game plan for them. But then Simeon. Credit to Trevor Simeon doing enough here. There was some throws early where they were pretty bad. He had a bad interception that was wiped away from roughing the passer, so that was kind of clutch. They got that. But after that, he's making right throws, and he's kind of almost looking like he could throw almost any quarterback in the Saints team, and they might look decent there. It's a well-coached team, very, very good team. A lot of high-motor, likable guys there. We'll see. Sometimes quarterbacks look better when they're thrown in oddly, and then when they have to prepare. We'll see if Taysom Hill's the guy. But yeah, this is a real good game for the Saints. Spreading the ball around, keeping the Buccaneers guessing. We talked about that. That was a possibility because that's where they beat them up last year, and the Bucs defense seems because of injuries. It seemed a little worse on that end this year. But the Saints defense just made so many plays, getting pressure on Brady, which is rare. You can't really pick out one or two guys here for the Saints. It's just a whole defense flying around and making plays. Well-coached defense, well-prepared. You love to see play like that. It's you got to respect it. So Saints definitely dangerous now, but the quarterback situation, Winston out for a season, it's a little scary for them, but team like the Saints, team like the Cowboys, we'll talk about kind of proving that quarterback is the most important position. That's kind of what it looks like, so that's wild. I was actually, the Buccaneers were down big. I was still confident the Buccaneers were going to come back and win just because the Saints had a quarterback on the other side. And they came back and they were winning. And I really thought it was over. And the Saints just clutching up and just continuing to make huge plays in this game. It's just wild there. So the Buccaneers, not too many defenses at all that can kind of slow them down, but the Saints are definitely one of them. But we know they can move the ball and score on them. You can't just be pounding the ball up the middle all day. There's too many teams that insist on that and live or die off that, and they don't change the game plan. And that's where you're not going to beat the Buccaneers defense. The Saints are smart enough. It shouldn't really take somebody that's smart enough, but the Saints just know how to game plan. They know how to find holes in defenses. So it was wild. It's just it's a big time win for the Saints. Buccaneers fall down there, and yeah, not the best outing for Brady. It's crazy. It's crazy how the Saints, because when they got down and kind of allowed to come back, I really didn't think they were going to win the game. I really didn't think so. So credit to them clutching up and winning this one. It was a wild game, absolutely wild game there. I'm excited for the next time the Saints play the Bucs in Tampa. I'm excited for that one. I hate being a Vikings fan so much. Cooper Rush beats the Vikings on primetime in Minnesota, 20-16. I know it wasn't really Cooper Rush, even though he was clutch in the right moments, that throw to Cooper in the end. Cooper with the circus catch before that, Mari Cooper Rush throwing it really directly to the defender, and it bounces up. It was ridiculous. Ridiculous catch from Mari Cooper. That was it. If that doesn't happen, I don't know if the Cowboys win the game, really. Zeke and Pollard played a great game. Guys were getting open pretty easily, and then protecting Cooper Rush fairly well. So that was good by them. The Vikings just the offense with Kirk Cousins, Dalvin Cook, Alexander Mattison, Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson. Conklin made a really good catch to start the game as well. They just can't get enough offense. It's unacceptable, really. Credit to the Cowboys defense. They are balling. They are much improved. Micah Parsons going back to play more of an off-the-ball linebacker role just because of game plan matchup reasons, I think, and just dominant. Randy Gregory is getting going. They're pretty tight in coverage there. The Cowboys defense, what a ridiculous performance. Cowboys kind of proving that the quarterback doesn't really matter. Obviously, they're a lot better with Dak Prescott, but having a pretty stout defense, having weapons, and having a great offensive line, you can win games. So a couple teams this week proving that quarterback might not be the most important position in football. So the Cowboys are just really good. They're just really good football team here. Well coached. People kind of bashing the coaches going into this season after last year. Looked like a mistake on their end because they look real good here with their play calls. They got the playmakers. They actually got a good defense now. So the Cowboys are legit. It's about staying healthy. Because Tyron Smith gets hurt. Now Trevon Diggs is hurt. Dak Prescott, the way he got hurt during the preseason, during training camp, and the way he got hurt with his calf, it seems like it's, hate to say it, but it's fairly easy for it to happen. So that is what I don't like. But I think he's fine. I'm confident he's going to be okay. I think he could have played in this game. They just didn't want to risk further injuries. Smart. They won the game without him. So that's really the only thing with the Cowboys. This is a team there's a Super Bowl team. People don't want to believe it. It's hard for people to believe. It is, but injury is a legitimate concern, and it's a concern for every team and more for this team. But the Vikings, back to the Vikings in this disappointing outing. They held the Cowboys at 13 points most of the game, and it was really off one broken play. So that's why that last touchdown is brutal, because they kind of just held them held them out of the end zone for most of the game, but they were giving up some yards. The cornerback, I knew the cornerback play would be bad without Patrick Peterson. They missed out on opportunities. They got 2 turnovers and couldn't capitalize, but they missed out on opportunities and more turnovers. I don't know. I'm not sure what Breeland dropped one, and one hit him at the end. That ended up being a circus catch for Amari Cooper. Not saying he really should have caught that, but it seemed like he wasn't aware the ball was there for some reason. And Dantzler, he was sitting there squatting, waiting for a floater. And he almost caught it still. Like, nobody taught you to go attack the ball? Like, a little confusing. But the blame goes to the Vikings. You have to blame the play calling. If you watch the game, they start the game just throwing the ball downfield. Shotgun, throwing straight up, just straight drop back, throwing the ball downfield. They start with that, and they score instantly. Conklin, even in tight coverage, Conklin makes a big play. Thielen gets open, makes a big play. It's just straight drop back. Throw the ball downfield. Second drive, and this as a Vikings fan, what I was thinking about all night, what I'm still thinking about, is that second drive. Justin Jefferson was wide open for a touchdown, and Cousins threw it to him. I guess he could have thrown it and made it a little easier for him, but it was pretty easy. And Jefferson looked like he just couldn't see it for some reason. Almost caught it off the dive. That was a mistake by Justin Jefferson. That was a free 7 points, and the Vikings win the game if they go out 14, nothing like that, and against a team that needs a lot of clock to score, in the way that the game finished, the Vikings win the game off that. So that's unfortunate, a little bit of a fluky, weird play, even though the Vikings always have something like that. So that, as a fan, it stings. It hurts a lot on that one. But back to my point. Throwing the ball downfield, just normal passes, dropping straight back, shotgun. Same thing there. I think the Vikings don't realize that was it's not a positive that was a bad play for Justin Jefferson. They missed out on 7. It's definitely not a positive. But moving forward for the rest of the game, the play calls, the game plan, what to expose, that was there. He got wide open, and they completely abandoned that. And then people will say, well, Kirk didn't have time. They tried to pass. This is true, but they only were going off the play action pass. In play action, in the running, the Vikings have a good running game. Cook was breaking some runs, but they pair well together because if you predict wrong on them, because if you predict play action pass, and you try to get out there to beat the quarterback out in the rollout, and it ends up being a run. It's at least one less guy in there. The run could be deadly, but the Cowboys were consistently predicting play action pass because everything was a play action pass, and everything takes longer on a play action. You got to fake the handoff. The quarterback's got to turn around and get outside the pocket. By that time, Kirk Cousins is getting hit. And he's got to dump it off to somebody. It's ridiculous how he's even getting rid of the ball in a lot of those situations. So the play calling was just atrocious. It's either a run or play action pass. The play action pass got too predictable. I've never seen a play action pass get that predictable before in my life. I haven't actually. So that was brutal. There was one point where they went for it on 4th and inches. The all-conservative Vikings went for it on 4th and inches, and they threw the ball downfield. Mind-blowing. They actually threw the ball downfield. Thielen's wide open. Really good throw by Cousins. Every time Cousins throws downfield, it looks good. They make a big play, or Jefferson messes up, but he was wide open for a touchdown. That should stay in your mind. But they throw downfield on 4th and inches. Gamble. Can't believe the Vikings did it because they never do that. They never throw downfield like that, and especially in that point of the game. They get down there. They're in Cowboys territory. So the first play then after that, first play is a pitch to the short side. Dalvin Cook pitched to the short side. He gains, did he gain anything? Can't remember. If he gained anything, couple yards. Pitch to the shorts, it's whatever. Don't like the play call, it's whatever. Second play, Alexander Mattison motions out to a receiver position. Second string running back, who's a pretty good runner, is at the receiver position. It's a screen pass. It's a wide receiver screen to your second string running back to the short side of the field, the same side of the field, behind the line of scrimmage. So far we got 2 plays behind the line of scrimmage after you finally threw the ball back downfield and got a big gain. Third play, design slip screen to Dalvin Cook behind the line of scrimmage to the short side of the field, to the same side of the field. 3 plays in a row, designed plays, not checked out of plays, not checked down. 3 design plays behind the line of scrimmage, all to the same side, all to the short side after you had success throwing downfield just seconds ago and before the game. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. So, and then they continue to go at play action passes and runs the rest of the game, and it wasn't enough. They had prime opportunity at the end of the game to put score 7 points and put yourself in a good situation. Couldn't do that. And the Cowboys clutch up from there. Kind of felt like it was coming from there. Zimmer, the defensive delay of game was costly. I've never heard that before, and it was a little frustrating when they say the refs aren't supposed to call it, but they call it. But if you look at the rule, and the rule is stupid, technically, I'm not going to complain about the call because technically it's supposed to be a penalty. It's in the rule book, so I'm not really going to complain about the call. I just don't like how the rule is because it's a call, but they shouldn't call it. Like, if you actually look at the rule, it's what it says. Like, it's a 5-yard penalty, but the refs shouldn't enforce it. The rule is fucking stupid. So what the rule is, though, it says it's supposed to be a penalty. In my opinion, that's why I look at it. So you can't complain about the call, really. And then Zimmer blamed himself after the game. He said he forgot, and that's bad. That's bad. He just called it because it's a delay of game because you call 2 timeouts in a row like that, a dead ball. Then it's a penalty or not supposed to be, whatever. So Zimmer says he just forgot. It was a 3rd and 16. He wanted 2 timeouts on a 3rd and 16. What do you need 2 timeouts 3rd and 16? But that's not even the big problem. The big problem is you just seconds ago you call a timeout and you forgot. That's a problem. It's a big problem. So that kind of sums up there the coaching staff of the Vikings. And there's my rants there. Cowboys, real good team. Real good defense. Much improved. Dan Quinn leading the way with that defense there. Offense can win without Dak Prescott. It's ridiculous to be a lot better with Dak Prescott, too, obviously. Because Cooper Kupp really didn't play a great game, but did enough there. At this point, over the Vikings on home, prime time, Sunday Night Football. That's just... Every game's got to be the same for the Vikings, too. Every single game. I'd rather just get blown out as a fan. You just put me out of my misery, in the first couple minutes of the game, That'll do it for this one, though. It still ended up being longer than I wanted to be. I want to do rapid fire, so I always do this. But, that wraps up this one. Thanks, everyone, for being here. Thanks for watching. We got a lot of videos coming your way. We got trade deadline madness. We're covering you live on Twitter with all of it, so join us there. That's going to do it. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.